Hello, folks. I'm Steve Boyce, and welcome back to The Scoop. We're broadcasting live from the beautiful MGM Grand Resort and Casino Hotel here in Las Vegas, Nevada, at the Experiential Marketing Summit, celebrating the 20th anniversary of this tentpole event, and it's been an amazing 2 days so far. I'm super excited now to be joined by Wainston Harbison, who's Senior Vice President of Operations and Events with NatP. Wainston, welcome to The Scoop. It's great to have you on the program.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Oh, it's so great to have you with us. Now, I know our folks in the audience are going to want to know, first of all, what is NatP? Tell us about your organization.
So NatP is an organization, and we're an association, and basically we're kind of like the American Heart Association for television. So everything that you see on television is bought and sold at NatP. So we're the business side of television. Some notable names from NatP are Jeopardy, Wheel of Fortune, Oprah. We're all bought and sold at our conference.
Fantastic.
So we've been around for about 55 years now.
Fantastic. Yeah. So you're a trade association, and who are your key stakeholders? Is this a B2B type of an association?
Yes, it's a B2B. So our key stakeholders are basically the studios. So Warner Brothers, NBC Universal, CBS Viacom, and also the buyers that we represent also to connect them to the big studios.
Fantastic. Bringing buyers and sellers together
Correct.
in a marketplace.
Correct.
Wonderful.
Yes.
You guys have been around 55 years?
55 years.
And tell us a little bit about the core business model. Events are obviously pretty important to you and particularly your role, right?
Yes. I mean, we thrive off events, and that's kind of our core business model. We're a nonprofit, so we don't try to make a profit. We do, but we try not to make a profit. And if we don't have live events, it's hard for us to operate.
Sure.
So events are everything for us. We do a big one for about 5,000 people in Miami, which we're actually going to move this year. I can't say the location yet.
Okay.
But we've been all over the United States, from Las Vegas to New Orleans to runs the gamut. But major event, and we actually do European events too. So we do one in Budapest in June for Eastern European television formats.
That's fantastic.
So it's all live events.
Wonderful. So this isn't just a North America or US-centric television. This is a global association working with producers and executives around the world.
We try to work with them around the world, and we've, over the last 10 years branched out to global. There is a competing show that really has the market outside the US. But we are the largest domestic content association.
Fantastic. And some of those shows that you mentioned at the top of our segment, I mean, these are household brand name shows. Jeopardy,
Wheel of Fortune.
Yeah. I'm still watching these shows on a regular basis.
Yes.
Even though Alex Trebek is not around.
Correct.
It's an amazing show still.
Yes.
So that's creating a tremendous amount of value through this experience. Now, I want to talk, of course, we're all aware of the pandemic we've been going through.
Yes.
You'd have to be living under a very large rock not to know that. And many of the guests that we've had have talked about some of the challenges that they faced through the pandemic, particularly those that have an event-centric business model. I'd love to hear, how have the last few years been for NatP? Have they been challenging?
They've been rough, very rough. I've been with NatP for 15 years now, and I saw us through the recession, I saw us through the writer's strike, and now, we saw us through COVID, and it's been a really rough 2 years. We have an annual which kind of fuels our entire year for, profits, all that stuff. Thankfully, we executed that show in January, and then 2 months later, the world shut down.
Oh, gosh.
So
we just snuck
it in. We were just lucky enough to get by that. And then again, we had to do what everybody else did, switch to virtual. And if I do another virtual event, I want to shoot myself in the head, So
hey, that's okay. It's controversial, but that's okay, because we know it was challenging for a lot of businesses that really thrive on an in-person experience.
Yeah. A lot of my friends who have B2C are going out to consumers. They thrived on virtual because you can just have those eyeballs. Business to business is very difficult because they're like, why do we need you if we can do this directly with each other? So that was kind of like, we do need this because we're going to provide buyers. We're going to find things that you can't find. We're going to make it easy, a one-stop shop, instead of you doing 50 meetings, every single day to try and find somebody. So that was our biggest challenge was, yes, we did go virtual. We had to go virtual.
Right.
And we tried to interject as much stuff we could into it, but it was tough.
I mean, that is a direct challenge to your core business model, right?
Yeah.
When the executives are from the movie shops are basically saying, why do we need you to help
Correct.
create this networking and these connection opportunities? How did you approach virtual then? What kind of technologies or experiences did you offer to try to keep that engagement going?
So being in Hollywood, we had to interject Hollywood into it. And thankfully we were able to pull, great technology from a lot of great partners, but also like use our Hollywood connection. And instead of like, we did Let's Make a Deal Live with Wayne Brady, and he would be on there, and we'd have a virtual panel, and they'll be like, he's like, okay, find me an HDMI cord, and then find an HDMI cord, and he wore $100. So we try and do stuff like that kept
fun.
it engaging, because as you know, you can lose eyeballs really fast.
Sure.
ROI is very hard. Hard. They think it should be free.
Right.
And a booth as opposed to virtual booth is two different price points.
Exactly.
So, but we added as much Hollywood as we could in there until people got sick of it.
Yep. So now that we're coming out of the pandemic, and hopefully that's the case, right? And hopefully no more variants are going to sneak up on us. What are you looking to do? Are you guys moving back in person fully? Will virtual and digital remain a component of your engagement strategy? How are you guys thinking about that?
Well, I think we're kidding ourselves if we don't have virtual at least integrated in some sort of portion into it, because there are people still don't feel comfortable going out, and 100% respect that. We're going back to live events, and the television industry, content industry as a whole, thrives off human connection, thrives off of networking. And so one of the big first events is actually next month in LA, called the LA Screenings, where all the buyers come down, actually go to the studio lots and view the new pilots and things like that. And it's sold out, and you could just see that. You could just see that energy coming back. So we are definitely concentrating on live events, trying to shift away from virtual, but we just know that's going to be part of our component, and it's just something we have to do. And we want to be respectful of it, but at the same time, our real job is to really bring humans together.
Yeah. Well, and that's been a theme here as well, is the reemergence of human connection, right? Creating these memorable moments that really can drive business, drive success. But I think it's really smart that you continue to maintain some kind of a digital presence. I'm curious, as we've talked to some other guests on the program here, some folks who have maybe a younger audience, we've talked a lot about Gen Z, very comfortable with digital. Many are maybe more comfortable with digital than being in person. Do any of those generational impacts affect your business? You're smiling, I see it.
Yeah. Television is run by old white men, and it still is. And it's difficult to get them onboarded on that stuff. And, it's kind of like your grandparents on Zoom and all you see is their nose, or they can't figure out how to log in and all that stuff. So, yeah, that's been challenging. And, trying to reach out to a younger demographic, it's hard in our line of business because in content, you have to be seasoned in it, and it just comes with age. Unless you're just like a kick-ass showrunner or producer, it's very difficult. So, that's been very challenging for us also.
Understood. Yeah. And to that, I'm just curious about how do young people in your industry get started, and is there potentially a role for NatP to provide kind of those professional development opportunities?
Well, I'm glad you asked. We have an educational foundation, which all the colleges in the United States that have any television studies programs are all actually educated by us, and we have a network of professors that go in, and we bring them to NatP. We do educational sessions. They meet the television executives. We show what's the best, practices, what's going on. And they go out to the different colleges and do that. And luckily, we get 50 interns from those programs that get to experience it. And it's great to see that, because you could have a 21-year-old, film studies student and gets to escort Whoopi Goldberg from her session. So it's such it opens a lot of doors for those people.
No doubt. That's fantastic. I'm just pausing because I have a 21-year-old daughter who just graduated from SCAD, College of Art and Design, not in film, but in a different creative field. And I'm thinking, how can I get her to meet Whoopi Goldberg? So I was just pausing there for a moment.
We're doing an event with her next month in LA at the Regent Beverly Wilshire. So Send her down there.
I'm
Okay?
coming to LA. We're going
Okay.
to stalk Whoopi Goldberg. We're not stalking Whoopi Goldberg. Let's just make that
And
clear.
Amy Poehler too will be there. Also,
Oh my
so.
God, what a lineup!
Yes.
So much fun in your business to be around such amazing talent, and want to come back to that in a minute. Folks, if you're just joining us, we're here on The Scoop talking with Wayneston Harbison from NatP. He's the Senior VP of Operations and Events. And Wayne, for those folks who are going to be in person here in Vegas, you're going to be on one of the keynote panels tomorrow.
Correct. Yes.
Would love to get a preview of what you're
Sure.
going to be talking about. What are some of the key messages you're sharing?
So I'm going to be talking about obviously entertainment and,
Sure.
and how it meets culture and how it meets today's events and experiential. Lucky enough to be speaking with my best friend Laura, who works for WB Games, and we're just going to kind of run the gamut of everything from NFTs to you know the labor shortage that's going on, the Great Resignation. So
Yeah.
it's very meaty, it's very broad, it's spectrum, but just giving our takes and hopefully interject that Hollywood lens into it.
Fantastic. Now, what else? You live in Las Vegas, I
Correct,
think you
yes.
said when we met in the
Yeah.
green room. Have you had a chance yet to engage in EMS here, or are you just kind of getting into the
I'm
event?
just kind of getting into the event, but the lead up to it has been amazing. And there's actually some things I will take to my conference when I do another event. But again, it's so nice just to be back at a live event
Yeah.
and to be around your peers. And you just can't beat that. You just can't beat walking down, you know, and everybody has a shared interest. And it's just something you can't replicate virtually.
I agree.
Yeah.
It's so powerful,
Yeah.
and you talked about the human connections,
Yes.
the authentic
Yes.
interaction and
Yes.
engagement.
Yeah.
You know, one of the things that we're asking folks is, as we think about the future of engagement, what are some of the innovations that are on the horizon? I mean, we see all kinds of fun things here in the Hall of Ideas. I saw a dog robot
Yes.
roaming around there, which was
Yeah.
kind of fun. What kind of innovations are you and NatP thinking about bringing to your conferences and trade shows?
Well, you know, obviously talent is huge and having them interact with talent. So, you know, some of the fun things that we've done and I think we'll do in the future is like, we'll have the Friends Couch. We'll bring the Friends Couch and have a Friends, you know, thing. And that's always such a big win with everybody. But also, I love anything with food. So I try to interject as much food into the mix. I think Booth was handing out pizza here, which is like it's the best. It's such a simple idea, but it's so engaging and gets people over there. So I'm hoping to come to EMS and learn about some things that I can bring to my conference and see what the next big thing is while I'm here.
Fantastic. Now, maybe some advice you can offer other associations or folks who produce events who don't have access to great talent. I mean, you're in a fortunate position when you can engage with the likes of Amy Poehler and Whoopi Goldberg. If you don't have access to that kind of talent, what are some of the keys that you found that just generally work to drive engagement with people?
I think, you know, having some sort of personal connection to your exhibitors beyond the salespeople is huge and key. And, you know, we have relationship teams that go above and beyond, you know, beyond the salespeople, and just make sure that they feel like they're wanted, they're needed, but also the buyers, you know, have the connection with the buyers. And again, it's the best thing to have a connection with somebody you met online and then see them in person.
Yes.
And when you go to a NatP trade show, it's all about being in person and showing that. So interject as much as your human self into these things as you can. It doesn't have to be through technology. It doesn't have to be through, you know, the latest fad, whatever. Just sometimes be yourself and, you know, get to know these people that you're working with on a daily basis.
I love that. Sometimes just the simple positive human engagement can be more than the latest gimmick or tchotchke at a booth, right?
Yeah.
I'm so glad, Wayneston, you mentioned sponsors, because I think it's something we haven't talked enough about during our programming, although it's definitely come up. Sponsors and exhibitors are really critical to conferences and trade shows. And I like the way you described to really pay attention to them and to their objectives and success. As you work with your sponsors and partners at NatP, what kind of things are they looking for? Do they like data and reports on who they're engaging with? Are they looking for certain engagement opportunities or to showcase their thought leadership? What are sponsors most interested in terms of value?
It runs the gamut, but, you know, some are interested in data, which is, you know, rough and, you know, trying to get it out there, and they want the eyeballs. But being B2B, you're just not going to have that big, huge numbers. You're
Right.
not going to have all that.
It's more targeted.
So, exactly. Yeah. A lot of it is just getting their product out there and getting it known. For like, when Pluto TV came out, we did a lunch for them with all these executives. Like, okay, you know what Pluto TV is, but do you really know what Pluto TV is? This is the shows that we're having. This is our trajectory path that we're going to go to, and it's good to have a lunch with them and actually showcase what your vision is, because sometimes you're behind a brand and they just see that brand and they don't know what the end game is. Oh, it's a streaming platform, and that's all they think about it.
Right.
But where does Pluto TV fit in the streaming universe?
Interesting.
So,
well, and it's fascinating, and things are changing so much in the television industry in particular. I mean, we've seen some really interesting things in terms of subscriber numbers with cable companies, with Netflix, right?
Yes.
They've made some interesting moves.
Acquisitions. Discovery bought Warner Brothers,
Right.
So it's becoming smaller and smaller.
Do you see more consolidation in the industry?
Yes.
And is that good or bad for business?
It depends. Last year we had CBS International, Paramount, and Viacom as 4 separate exhibitors. Now they're Viacom CBS. So
Right.
it's one exhibitor.
Right.
So that hurts it. But at the same time, again, we're a nonprofit. So our goal is, okay, you know what? Yes, we lost 3 exhibit booths, but they want to go out there and say, we're CBS Viacom.
Right.
We have Paramount Plus. This is our news. So how can we help them with their new company and how they can get their message out there? Because they have 4 brands that they have to they have an identity crisis. Are coming together.
Exactly.
So we're just like,
crisis.
yes,
I love that.
Yes.
I can't even imagine. But yeah, with those big acquisitions,
Yeah.
the messaging strategy must change.
Yes.
And so how they then engage with their audience also must change.
Yes.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Do you offer strategies and advice then to help them maximize their opportunity with your show?
We do more sessions and more education and stuff like that, and we try and bring in top showrunners, top advice, top executives that can lead to that. We don't necessarily advise them,
Sure.
but we say, okay, look, we have the head of this network speaking, and they're going to actually speak to this brand. Listen to that conversation. What's going on there? And then afterwards, hit them up and be like, hey, this is our issue. This is what's going on.
Right.
So we kind of facilitate that way.
Nice.
Yeah.
I love that collaborative approach. So we got about 30 seconds left in our segment. The time has flown by. I've enjoyed this conversation so much. I want to make sure for folks who are interested in learning more, either about NATPE or want more information about your session and your topics therein, Wayneston, where can folks reach you? Do you have social handles or a website that you'd like to share?
Yeah. www.nappy.com is our company website. My social handle is Wayneston across everything.
Great.
So
Do you want to spell that out?
WAYNESTON.
Excellent. Wayneston, fantastic. Wayneston Harbison, it's been so enjoyable to chat with you here on The Scoop. Appreciate your perspectives very much. Hope you have a wonderful session tomorrow and hope you have a great rest of your EMS event.
Thank you so much.
Fantastic. Folks, we've enjoyed this segment with Wayneston. Hope you have too. Definitely catch his session tomorrow if you're here on site in Las Vegas. If not, catch the on-demand version of this program on The Scoop. We'll be back with more great content in just a moment.